So the movie Greystone Park 2012, and you can see and the film is said to be based on true life experiences. Sheen Stone and Alexander Wraith play filmmaker who meet at a dinner with Olivia Stone and Sheen's real life father when Wall Street Money Never Sleeps was being filmed in October 2009, and the film opens in found footage style, implying the footage was recovered after a tragedy, and the text explains the urban legend of Greystone Park, a psychiatric hospital, a real abandoned asylum rumored to be haunted. Locals believe patients were abused and tortured. Dark rituals were performed. Dark rituals were performed, and the spirits still roam the grounds, and may people have entered and never returned. This immediately frames the movie as a don't go there story. And the scene made the group. A group of young filmmakers friends decide to explore Greystone Park, and their goal shoot a documentary style explorations captures personal paranormal evidence, prove the legends are fake and personalities are established, and one is the leader filmer, one is skeptical and joking, and one is nervous but curious, and tension and teasing already exist, and the cameras are constantly rolling, reinforcing realism, and scene 2 is arrival at Greystone Park, and the group arrives at night. Exterior shots so a broken window, crumbling walls, and graffiti, and long dark corridors, and the comments on how quiet and heavy the place feels. Some members already feels uneasy and sensing something off. Scene 3 is entering the buildings, and they break in through a damaged entrance inside, and flickering flashlight, and peeling paint, rusted hospital equipment, and they joke to hide fear, but the mood turns serious, and strange echoes are heard, and tough, no one is visible. So, the history of the asylum. One member explains the asylum's past and patients locked in isolations and experimental treatments, suicides and deaths, and they show old patients' rooms, restraints, medical tools left behind, and camera lingers on unsettling unsettling details and first paranormal signs and subtle disturbance begins, distant footsteps and whispers barely picked up on audio. A door slams by itself and skeptics blame wind or animals and others clearly feel they are not alone. Splitting up a big mistake and the group splits into smaller pairs to cover more ground. Tensions and rises and cameras capture long empty hallways, shadows moving at the edge of the frame, and communications between group becomes difficult. So the movie directed by Sheen Stone, written by Sheen Stone and Alexander Wraith, and produced by Sisaba Bresgi and Julia Prena and Kalia York, starring Sheen Stone, Alexander Wraith, and Antonella Lentini, Oliver Stone, and Bruce Payne, and cinematography Eduardo Enrique Main, and edited by Christopher Dunlap. Production companies Mind the Gap Productions and Headlong Entertainment, and release date is September 6, 2012. United Kingdom, and the running time is 83 minutes, and country is United States. Languages is English. And release, let's see, release just before the losing inside Greystone. Hallway starts feeling Hallway starts feeling endless and confusing. Rooms look the same, and a sense of spatial distortion sets in. One member realizes they have been walking in circles, and panic begins to grow. Notice aggressive activity. Paranormal activity escalates. Objects through loud screams and echoing through halls, and figures verify seen on camera, and one member is pulled or chased out of frame, and screaming and chaotic camera movement dominate, and C9 is first disappearance. The group first disappearance. The group regroups. One person is missing, and they search frantically, calling their name, and they find a dropped camera and footage showing something rushing toward the missing member. Fear turns into desperation, and the descent into madness. A psychological terror intensifies. Members argue, accusations fly, people start hallucinating, and the asylum feels alive, reacting to them, and someone believes the spirits are feeding on fear, and the final chase. Final chase is the remaining survivors try to escape doors that were once open are now locked, and shadowy figures chase them through corridors, and one by one members are separated, attacked, dragged away screaming, and the scene 12 is the last camera. Only one person remains. Breathing is heavy, and the camera shakes violently. A distorted, horrifying presence appears, and the screen cuts to black. Cuts to black, and ending in aftermath. A final text implies, and the group was never found, and Greystone Park remains abandoned, and the footage you just watched is all that remains, and themes and style, found footage, realism, and fear of isolations, mental illness being watched, no clear monsters, terror comes from suggestions and atmosphere, slow burn, a chaotic challenge. And so let's see next, and what Greystone Park really is. The Greystone Park is not just a haunted building. It's presented as a psychological trap. The asylum represents abandoned suffering and unresolved trauma and institutional cruelty. Human fear feeling on itself, and the movie suggests the palace has absorbed the pain and the madness of its past patience, turning the building into a living entity. So the danger is not the only ghost, the location itself is hostile. Why the found footage style matters? The found footage format is crucial to the explanations. No background music, fear feels real, and shaky camera and panic becomes contagious, and a nuclear monster. Your imagination fills the gaps, and moral importantly, what the camera captures is limited, and meaning we never fully see the threat. Just like the characters. The mirror's mental breakdown, not traditional horror, and the psychological progressions of fear. The horror escalates in stages. Stage 1 is curiosity, and the group enters confidently. They treat the asylums like a playground, and stage 2 unease and subtle sounds, strange silence, feeling watched, and disorientations, endless hallways, and lost sense of direction. Time feels wrong, and this is important. Losing orientation is equal to losing sanity. And the stage 4 is paranoia. Argue paranoia arguments, accusations, hallucinations. At this point, fear becomes self generating. Why they can't escape? This is the most misunderstood part. They are not physically trapped by locked doors. At first, they are mentally trapped, and the asylum manipulates memory, perceptions, and spatial awareness, the minor, the mirrors, solitary confidence, confinement, and patience isolation techniques used in old asylums. No escape fails because their minds are already breaking, and the shadow figures what are they, and the film never confirms a single monster. And they represent past patience and fragment spirits, and manifestations of trauma, but most importantly, they appear more as fear increases. They implies the entities are activated by emotional vulnerability, and the fear strengthens them. The asylum doesn't enter randomly, it responds, and the disappearance is explained, and people don't want vanish, and each disappearance is follow, and isolations, panic, and loss of regional through, and so the final survivor and why they fail. The last person survives the longest because they resist panic, they try logics, and they keep moving. But in the end, execution wins, and fear overwhelms, and the fear overwhelms, and so and the legend continues. This research's core message and cruelty without respect for trauma leads to destruction. Deeper themes and the real horror and mental illness explore Why the movie feels so unsettling. No closure, no hero, no clear enemy. The enemy is fear itself, and fear never leaves. The final line. The film's true message, Greystone Park is not haunted by ghosts, it's haunted by what humans did there. So I'm going to and just wait. So here I was. You just let's see the cast. Sean Stone as himself and Alexander Wraith as himself and Oliver Stone as himself and Antonella Lentini as herself. Antonella Lentini as herself and Bruce Payne as Damon and voice and Michael Stone as Billy Laser and Pete Antico as himself. Monique Jordan as herself and John Sacraman as himself and believes he is in control. And control the camera, treat Greystone like a project. So the leader, camera holder role, confidence, controls the camera and threats Greystone like a project, not a threat. What happened? He lost the longest, tries to stay logical and keep filming even when things go wrong, and why he survives longer, believes he is in control and uses national thinking to super races fear and why he ultimately fails and excuses one's isolations. And fear finally breaks through once panic hits the isolations claims him and symbolic fate, and he becomes the final patient, fully aware but powerless. What happens the lasts the longest. Tries to stay logical, keeps filming even when things go wrong, and why he survives longer. And believes he is in control, uses rational thinking to suppress fear, why he ultimately fails. Exhaustion, joint isolations, fear finally breaks through once panic hits the asylum claims him. And symbolic fate, he becomes the final patient, fully aware but powerless. And the working titles of the film were Greystone and Secret Stone. The film was released on DVD in the UK in August 2012 under the title The Asylum Tapes, and it is due to be released in the US in October 2012. So, the Joker makes jokes, mocks the legend, and dismisses its danger. And what happens first? To seriously encounters aggressive activity, often laugh at early signs and why he is targeted early. Disrespects act like an invitation, and the asylum reacts strongly to denial. How he disappears. Chased suddenly, camera footage becomes chaotic, and vanishes without a clear attack shown. Symbolic fate, arrogance blinds him until it's too late. The nervous one, a role feels something is wrong immediately, wants to leave early. References Viviani Williams, October 18, 2012 DVD review. Greystone Park. Crave Online archived from the original on August and 26, 2014 and retrieved August 25, 2014. Ghosts Run the Asylum at Greystone. Horror movie DVD designed book reviews, news interviews at Dread Central. So so what happens? Anxiety escalates quickly, suffers hallucinations, and loses sense of directions while the asylum takes them mentally vulnerable and mentally vulnerable where I was. And just wait for a second. Fear fits the environment and how they are taken separated while panicking and screams echo than silence. Symbolic fate. Fear becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The believer. Paranormal focused role talks about spirits, searches for proof, interprets science as supernatural. What happens? Notices activity others ignore, become obsessed with capturing evidence. As a result, Sean and Alexander decide to visit an abandoned psychiatric hospital in New Jersey and famous for its radical treatment of patients with mental illness to explore whether or not they believe in the supernatural. Once inside the institutions, they soon discover that they are not alone. And why this is dangerous? Gives the entity attentions and threat. It has something to interact with. How they disappear. Following sounds or voices, camera left behind with disturbing footage. And symbolic fate, seeking from inwards possession, the careless explorer wanders off, break rules, and splits from the group, and what happens? Gets lost first. Halloween loops endlessly, and why escapes fails. Poor spatial awareness, panic destroys memory and how they are taken. Cornered, dragged into darkness, symbolic fate, isolation equals admissions into the ACM. And the group as a whole collective fate. They don't just die individually, they are separated, broken down, absorbed. Meaning Greystone Park doesn't kill, it adds. Each person becomes another voice, shadow, or presence inside the building. Deanstone as himself, Alexander Wraith as himself, Oliver Stone as himself, and Antonella Lentini as herself. And Bruce Payne as Damon, Michael Stone as Billy Leslie, Pete Antico as himself, and Monique Jordan as herself. John Skirm as himself. Receptions. Greystone Park has received negative reviews. From critics. From critics, Final interpretations of their fates. Every character is taken in the order of disrespect, fear, obsessions, and isolation. Total mental collapse. This mirrors how rare psychiatric patients were stripped of identity. One line that explains everything. They didn't explore an asylum. They entered a system designed to erase people. Now I'm just wait for a minute. And final sequence context by the ending. Everyone is gone, the building is silent again, and only one camera is still recording. This matters because the film wants you trapped in one point of view, just like The Last Survivor. And heavy breathing, shaking camera, and what you see, camera pointed down hallways, rapid breathing, and uneven footsteps. What it means, the body is in fight or flight. Logic is gone, survival instincts only, and the asylum has already won mentally. And hallway that shouldn't exist. What you see, corridor that feels longer than before. Familiar doors in unfamiliar order. And what it means? Spatial manipulations. The building is rearranging perception. The mirrors disorientation in institutional isolation. They are no longer navigating a place, the place is navigating them. And the frame third is sound without source. What you hear, what you heard. Footsteps behind, whisper, and breathing that is not there. And what it means. Auditory hallucinations or spirits mimicking past patients. So either way, the asylum is speaking in borrowed voices, and camera pauses most important moment, and what you see, the survivor stops running, camera steadies for a second, and why this moment matters. This is acceptance. The moment panic collapses into resignation, and psychologically, once fear peaks, resistance ends. Frame 5 is the shadow appears. What you see? A distorted figure, not fully formed, human shaped but wrong. What it means? This is not a ghost, it's a composite presence. Think of it as and all lost patience, all fear, all trauma merged, and and so you can see it appears only when the mind breaks. The scream joint camera drops. What you see? Sudden movement, violent shake, uh, camera hits the floor, and what it means. Physical capture or complete psychological collapses. The film doesn't need to show that the person is no longer as person. And empty hallway, what do you see? Nobody, no movement, just the asylum. And why this is terrifying? The building looks calm, like nothing happens, and is in implies a Greystone Park resets after feeding. And reset after feeding, and the final text on screen. What it tells you. The group was never found. The legend continues. What it really means. This is not in one time event. It's a cycle. And the asylum doesn't kill once, it collects forever. And the ending in one sentence is the final survivor doesn't die, they become part of Greystone Park. And why the movie ends so abruptly? No resolutions because real drama has no neat ending. Fear doesn't fade, it stays embedded. Cutting to black mirrors, sudden loss of consciousness, or total mental shutdown. And deep truth of the ending. Greystone Park is not hunted. It is unfinished suffering, unfinished pain, unfinished victims. So just wait. Now I am going to explain you one more best things. One thing, hidden details most viewers miss. And you will notice cameras run away longer than they should. No one changes batteries near the end. The footage is being allowed to continue. The asylum wants to be recorded, and it flips the idea of found footage. Idea of found footage. The building is the storyteller. Doers change between cuts. Watch closely. Open doors appear closed later. Locked doors appear unlocked earlier. This is not an editing mistake. Space is unstable. Reality is bending. Memory cannot be trusted. This mirrors how patience lost consistency in situations. Whispers say real words. If you boost audio, some whispers say names. Others say stay or don't go. And meaning they these are not generic ghosts. They are residual patients. They don't threaten, they beg, and that's why it's unsettling. And the shadow move before people do. In several hallways, shots, shadows slide across walls, no person in causing them, and meaning presence arises before it's visible, and fear precedes manifestation. This supports the idea, and the assailants reacts to emotional states. And graffiti foreshadows everything. Background walls contain words like help, stay watching. These are not just vandalism, meaning past victim and past victim try to leave messages or the building rides through people and either way the walls remember. No clocks, time is gone. There are no working clocks, no watches shown late in the film. Meaning the time has no structure, endless confinement. The mirror's asylum punishment technique. Everyone is taking everyone is taking everyone is taken in the same way. No blood, no bodies, no clear deaths. Meaning violence is not the point. Eraser is. The horror is loss of identity, not goal. The film camera angle matches an early shots. The last empty hallways. Matches an early normal exploration shot and meaning the cycle resets. New explorers will walk the same path and the building doesn't age, people do. Sound cuts before visuals important and often screams cut off before the image ends, meaning and consequences ends before the body and mental collapses precedes physical capture, and this is deeply psychological horror. And the title Greystone Park. Gray is equal to in between stone permanent, meaning a place between life a death where suffering becomes permanent. Not hell, not the afterlife, a holding space. One final detail that changes everything. No authorities are shown at the end, meaning no investigations, no rescue, no closure. Society has already forgotten this place, and that's the real horror. And final takeaway Greystone Park doesn't scare you with what is sold, it terrifies you with what is quietly confirmed. And if you want scientific explanations of the hunting and the real Greystone Park history versus movie and why the film feels low budget but effective. And just wait. And the building as a psychological weapon. Old asylums were designed to isolate, disorient, break routine, and remove personal identity. and and Greystone Park uses long identical hallways, repetitive doors, and poor lighting. Effect on the brain, hippocampal confusion, loss of the spatial memory, and you are literally cannot from a mental map. And this explains walking in circles, feeling trapped without locks, infrasound the fear frequency, abandoned buildings produce low frequency vibrations, infrasound sources wind through broken structures, a loose metal, and large empty rooms. Effects is anxiety, nausea, and feeling lost, visual distortion, and visual distortion. People often report and something is here without seeing anything. And auditory hallucinations under stress and darkness. The brain feels silence with pattern. And this explains calling names, hurrying breathing, and voices guiding people away. Guru panic, contagion, fear spreads faster than logic. Once one person panics, other mirrors the reactions, heart rate sinks. A relational decision making collapses. This is why they split up and they make bad choices, they stop coordinating. Tunnel vision and memory failure. Extreme fear causes narrowed vision and time distortions, memory gaps. And people misexist, forget landmarks, and drop cameras, and this explains the exit was right there earlier, and their brains literally stop recording details. And shadow figures explained in darkness, and peripheral vision is unreliable. The brain exaggerates motions combined with infrasound and anxiety. Why people disappears? Two possibilities. Someone runs deeper while panicking, and someone collapses mentally and stops responding. In chaos, no one can find them again. The building's scale swallows them, and psychologically they are lost before they are gone. Why the last person failed? Mental fatigue is deadly after hours of fear, and cortisol spikes, judgment collapses, and motor control weakens. The final screams, maybe. A panic induced blackouts and psychological shock. And no death, total mental shutdown. Why the footage exists? People in panic keep filming unconsciously. Camera becomes an anchor to reality, so the footage survives even if the mind doesn't. And the scientific truth is in one line. Greystone Park doesn't need ghosts. The human brain is enough. And I thought the film works because everything Greystone could happen in a real abandoned asylum at night. That's why it stays with you. And if you want next, real Greystone Park, asylum history versus film. Why these low budget horror works? Scariest moment broken down scientifically. Now just is Greystone Park a real place? And yes, partially Great Stone Park refers to Greystone Park, a psychiatric hospital in New Jersey, USA, opened in 1876 and one of the largest psychiatric hospitals in the world at its peak. And so the movie is based on a real location. The movie is based on a real locations and just wait. And not pure fictions, not pure fictions. Real history of Greystone Park, a psychiatric hospital. What actually happened there? Overcrowding, thousands of patients, poor living condition, and limited understanding of mental illness, patients institutionalized for depressions, anxiety, PTSD, and even disobedience or poverty. And important, no confirmed dramatic rituals, no documental mass supernatural events. But Real abuses, this is where the horror comes from. Historically accurate practices included, okay, and prolonged isolations, physical restraints, and electroconvulsive therapy, early crude versions, and patients losing names. And becoming numbers, and many patients never left, died anonymously, and were buried without families informed, and this is real and deeply disturbing. Abandonment, urban legends, and when parts of Greystone were abandoned, buildings decayed, and records were lost, and security becomes weak. Security becomes weak, and this created trespassing, ghost stories, and missing person rumors, and the movie borrows heavily from these urban legends, not official history. Not official history. Okay, and they represent forgotten patients, viewed trauma, and society turning away. Why the movie feels true anyway? Why the movie feels true anyway? Even thought the ghosts are not real, and the fear is grounded because the setting existed and the suffering happened. The abandonment is real, and so the film suggests pain never leaves these walls, and the part is emotionally accurate. And the biggest myth, people vanished mysteriously inside Greystone truth. No verified cases of explorers and disappearing forever. Accidents and arrest, yes. Paranormal disappearances, no. The movie turns neglected into supernatural punishment. Ghosts run the asylum at Greystone's horror movie, DVD and book reviews, news interviews at a Dread Central. And yeah, just wait. Large portions were torn down because unsafe structures, cost of renovations, and desire to erase institutional shame. And this adds a chilling layer. The building was removed, but the history was not healed. And the movie's real message hidden. Greystone Park is not warning about ghosts, it's warning about forgetting the mentality ill, treating suffering as entertainment, and exploring trauma without respect. And that's why the explorers are punished. That's why the explorers are punished. And one line, the movie lies about ghosts but tells the truth about how society treated the forgotten. If you want, I tell you, I talking to you. If you want next, why these films works despite low budget scariest scenes and explained scientifically and what the director wanted you to feel. And so now just I'm going to explain you. All right, the location does most of the work. They didn't build fear, they borrowed it. And real abandoned structures, natural decay, no artificial sets. No artificial sets. And found footage adds limitations. find footage and adds limitations. And instead of expensive effects, Big reveals the film's uses a shaky camera, darkness, and partial frames. This means the audience imagines the horror and imaginations is deeper. The strongest sound design, visual effect. Most fear comes from distant screams, footsteps, breathing silence, and sound is inexpensive, extremely effective psychologically. And your brain creates threat before your eyes confirm them. No clear monster, smart move, and showing a monster costs money and often kills fear. By not showing it, threat stays abstract, fear stays personal. And everyone sees something different in their mind. Real panic and acting. The performances are not polished, and that helps. Overlapping dialogue, messy reactions, and awkward pauses. It feels like people actually losing control, and that authenticity beats trained perfection. Uh, Repetition creates dread, and same hallways, some doors, some sounds, and repetitions causes mental fatigue, hopelessness, and the audiences feels trapped too. And uh, simple stories, strong concepts, no complicated lore, no exposition dumps, just you shouldn't be here. That's enough. Ending without relief. No hero, no rescue, no explanation. Low budget films often and abruptly. Here it becomes a feature, not a flaw. It respects the audiences. It doesn't over explain. It trusts you to connect dots, and that creates lingering fear and post movie unease. The real reason it works because it feels possible. No fantasy, no spectacle, and just human giant fear, giant space. And if you want to go deeper next, scariest scene broken down second by second, and comparison with grave encounters and Gonzim. Why asylum horror hits harder than other horror? And so last starts. I'm just doing something for you. I hope you loved it and just wait. You can see something. I hope you loved it, man. And the first major disappearance in the hallway. This is where the movie turns from creepy to terrifying. Uh, Normal fear, handheld camera, flashlight bouncing, and the casual talking or nervous laughter. And why it matters, your brain still feels safe, nothing is wrong yet, and sound without meaning, a faint noise, uh, could be wind, could be footsteps. Psychology, your brain starts scanning for danger but finds no proof. This creates anticipatory fear. Pause. One character stops walking. Everyone goes quiet. Camera lingers too long on empty hallways, and why this is genius. Silence tells you something.